Sit down, please. Jananam sukadham maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam kalavashadiha sakalam karunam samayadipate akilam karunam. Namaskaram. Namaskaram, all of you. Sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the word Kalyug, like our guest today, needs no introduction. We use the word Kalyug almost as a throwaway term in common language every single day. If we see something surprising or unusual or absurd, we use the word "Ye to Kalyug hai." It's a word that describes the fourth age of the Hindu world cycle, marked by decadence and depravity and darkness. A word that is less popular but has seen a resurgence recently, thanks in no small part to the certain mandir that has come up in Ayodhya, is the word Ram Rajya, which is defined as an age of fulfillment and peace and all those other lovely things, the opposite really of Kalyug. So the question is, can there be a Ram Rajya, a word we're hearing so often now, with Kalyug? There's frankly no better person to answer that question than our guest today, Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev, seen as a yogi, a mystic, a visionary, someone who has broken the internet several times before, 4.5 billion views on YouTube in 2023 alone, which is an incredible feat. He is someone who is seen by his millions and millions of followers, a growing number, as a kind of nucleus of inner fulfillment, which is a commodity, as you all know, which is extremely rare in the Kalyug. And I'm going to explore that.
As long as you see it as a commodity, you shall not have it.
So, amidst this merciless churn that we're all a part of now, we're about to dive into enlightenment that doesn't take itself too seriously, and in my view, that perhaps is really the key. So I'm going to start by first welcoming Sadhguru. Thank you, sir, for your time and for being here at the India Today Conclave. Always a pleasure to host you. Ram Rajya in Kalyug. Over to you.
Namaskaram to all of you. Well, first of all, we are not in Kalyug. Let's understand that. This whole Kalyug thing is being repeated because at the end of Kurukshetra war, Krishna talked about Kalyug. But according to the precision of the planet, that every 72 years, planet covers 1 degree of the zodiac. If you go by that, it's a cycle of 25,920 years. And it is 8 parts of time, that is 2 Satyugs, 2 Treta, through 2 Dwapara and 2 Kalyugs. And Kalyug comes together. So together it is 25,900 plus years, which is already over a long time ago. By 2083, you will complete Dwapar Yug and you're moving into Treta Yug. So very appropriate to talk about Ram Rajya because he's from that time. So this Kalyug business is like you read an old newspaper and you keep talking about the same thing forever. That was spoken in 3140 BCE. That is when the Kurukshetra ended. So Kalyug is long time over. Ram Rajya is a choice. Metaphorically, it means a striving for a just rule. I'm insisting on this, it's a striving. It doesn't mean everything was just. During Rama's time, everything was not just. There's a whole lot of problems out there. But there was a striving. Who can strive for such a thing? It's very significant that we don't refer to him… I know, of course, some people out of their love for him call him Lord, but generally he is referred to as Purushottama. Purushottama means a Uttama among the Purushas, a human being who has risen, a man who has risen. He has risen to a certain height within himself, because this is essentially a civilization where we are not waiting for some gods to descend from somewhere. We are always seeing how to devise ways where a human being can rise to his ultimate possibility or the highest possible place that he or she can be in. So in that context, we are referring to Rama. Because I'm South Indian, I call him Rama, all right? We got these issues.
I'll be coming to South.
We will come. So, we call him Maryada Purushottam because he has risen in some way. This has always been the way of this civilization. Never before we have talked about people coming down from heaven. We are always talking about individual human beings rising to their fullest possibility. So in that context, Ram Rajya means striving for a perfect nation or a just nation, which was striving right through his life. Did he achieve it or not is not the point. The point is somebody is striving, because human life is made like this. Only a dead person will have a perfect life. Living people can only strive. If the striving stops, that's a dead life. So we are talking about striving for a just society, not a perfectly just society. Such a thing never happens.
Sadhguru, the Prime Minister talks about Ram Rajya. You were at the Pran Pratishtha of the
I was not.
Mandir in Ayodhya as well.
I was not.
No, you've spoken about it. My question to you is, are we moving towards Ram Rajya? Is the Prime Minister moving India towards a Ram Rajya?
See, if you are looking at Ram Rajya, this is exactly what I said just now. If you're thinking of a perfect state, no. But are we striving? Yes, we are striving like never before. Definitely, I believe Prime Minister has the intention to strive to create that nation that all of us want. Will it happen tomorrow morning? That's a joke if you think so. It never happens like that. It's a striving. If all of us are striving, in that striving our lives are beautiful. Not because we got there, it's beautiful. Life is beautiful because we are striving for something that we hold as very high.
What in our country right now, by the government, by the Prime Minister, or the things you see around you, Sadhguru, are indicators to you that this striving towards Ram Rajya is something that is happening? The reason I ask this question is because we live in a constantly churning, vitiated atmosphere where there are polarized opinions as far as
No, that is
Kalyug
only in the
and Ram Rajya
newsrooms.
is
It's
concerned.
not so in the country. Only in the newsrooms it's vitiated. If you live in the country, in the rest of the country apart from Delhi, everywhere everything is fine. So, don't believe that. I mean, you are supposed to make us believe that. You should not believe that. So, so the thing is vitiated. Where is it vitiated? See, one loose can shout something. Well, it's repeated 125 times in a day on the news channel. None of us heard that nonsense. That whatever some mad nonsense repeated over and over again on the news channel is not heard by anybody else in the country, and nobody else is saying such things. So, country is not vitiated, it's a very wrong notion. Please walk around the villages of this nation, which is where we live and we work. There is no any kind of vitiated divisions in the country.
No, I was talking about the political sphere. I take your point about the media, but I was talking about
No, I'm not trying to blame the media. It's media's business to highlight that. I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing it. I'm just saying, don't believe it because you're taking out certain things which make news, and that is not the nature of the nation. So in the nation, right now there is a huge striving for economic well-being. Is there a striving? Absolutely, absolutely, everywhere. There's a new hope in the villages. Everybody's thinking they will live better. They're already living better, you can say. Maybe not exactly, but there is a hope because they are better connected, they are striving for more, and I think a whole lot of people, because we have schools in rural areas, we see children are eating better, it's visible. It's very visible. Whichever part of the world I go, the first thing I look at is the rural children. If you look at them, you know what is the condition of the society. Our children's condition has been terrible in the last 50 years. But today you will see in the last 3 to 4 years' time, young kids who come to school at 5 or 6 years of age, they are little better fed, which is an indicator, which is clearly visible. So are they striving? Yes, they are striving. Will we get there? I think we will, unless we goof it up in some big way. The way the trajectory is, I think in the next 5 years, there will be a significant change. Do you believe that everything will be perfect? No, that would be foolish to even think like that. But will people be living better economically? Yes. It is just that we have to manage the other aspects of life equally well. One important thing that's a concern for me is, right now on an average, the soil organic content, this is something maybe a strange language for all of you because you live in Delhi, because you don't use soil. You all came from Mars maybe, I don't know. I don't know where you come from, but the soil organic content in the nation, on an average, is 0.6%. The minimum organic content that is necessary to call soil as soil is 3%, but we're 0.6%. This is a disaster unfolding. You come from the south, next time you fly from Delhi to Bangalore or somewhere, every 5 minutes just look out and see, you see a brown desert which you call as India. This is dangerous. This is very dangerous, that any time things can just fold up on us. It doesn't matter how much industry we do, whatever other economic stuff we do, if the soil collapses, life will collapse in a very bad way. Some of the responsible scientists in the world are estimating between 2045 and 2055, 20% of the world's population could commit suicide, mainly because of soil nutrient deficiency. These are responsible scientists, these are not, rabble-rousers.
That's, your work on soil conservation and Save the Soil is something that we've tracked very, very closely. And it's one of the things that's made you a climate leader as well across the world. We've seen your videos as well. Sadhguru, from soil, I want to sort of drag it back to a media issue, since you've blamed the media for
vitiating the
atmosphere.
Media. I said,
I
described the media.
The media must take… The media must take its share of the blame, there's no doubt about that. But, being a journalist, I must explore some themes that are, big headlines in the media and things that you've spoken about. Like I said, Sadhguru's videos have millions of views. 4.5 billion views in 1 year is certainly no small feat. And one of the videos that, has perhaps got some of the maximum views since 2019 was actually on the topic of CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act, which kind of went into the doldrums during the pandemic, Sadhguru. It's back now with the rules being notified. You were seen as a proponent of them at a time when there were large-scale protests. 4 years later, Sadhguru, what do you feel about it? The government has decided to notify. The reason I ask is because it pertains to things like religion, faith, government. What do you think?
It doesn't pertain to any religion. It is too little compassion coming too late. That's my description of CAA. Too little compassion, coming too late. Because when we left people on the other side of the border post-partition, there was hope that they will be well taken care of. And there was also a promise in the political space that if there are problems, we'll take you back. But over 75 years, they have faced the worst of the worst. And many of them have moved here over 30, 40 years ago, and they're still refugees in this country. Are we not ashamed? Are we not ashamed that people are here, an historical blunder where nations are divided and somebody fell on the wrong side of the line and they tried to correct it, and they came over 30, 35 years ago and still they don't have citizenship, they don't have any rights in our country. We should be ashamed of this. This is not a controversy. This is a matter of shame.
There have been comments about it being discriminatory.
How?
Certain politicians have, painted those who may come in a certain way. Those things are being said, sir. They're not being said by the media.
They're being said, I know. But I'm asking you, when there are countries which are theocratic, theocracy means by law discrimination, all right? In the society there is so much discrimination, it is also there in our society. We are not some perfect society. We have 1,000 varieties of discrimination in our society. But by law, nobody is discriminated in this country. But in the neighboring lands, by law they're discriminated. There is blasphemy laws, which if you just say a word, you could be hung for it. When these things are there, if people are persecuted and they want to come over, and that too you put a cut-off date, I don't think there should be a cut-off date, but you put a cut-off date for whatever reason, that's fine. As I said, it's too little compassion coming too late after people have suffered for decades.
In the Kalyug that we live in right now…
No, we are not in Kalyug, we are in Dwapar Yug.
Okay. You're saying it's not a Kalyug. As a journalist, I think there are many aspects of Kalyug that we live through. I'll explain it to you. Elections are a nuisance is something that Sadhguru had said many years ago.
No, I did not say elections are nuisance.
There
must be time for election and there must be time for administration.
Yeah.
If there is no time for administration and only election is going on, and once again, if I say something, don't think I'm blaming you, because of 24/7 news channels, if there is a by-election in Nagaland, you make me feel there is a national election going on. All right?
That's because no election is small, sir. All elections are big.
It is not small, but you must understand whether it is somebody else or you or me. Suppose we were in election. Let's say we were politicians standing for election. The nature of the election is such, it's won on an emotional basis. Not on the basis of sense and facts and figures, that's not how an election is won. Everywhere in the world, whether it's United States or UK or India, elections are won on an emotional basis, hello? Yes. So when that is the thing, we tend to say irresponsible things at the time of election. You must give us a margin because this is a democracy. 3 months before the election, we will say all kinds of things. But if there are elections throughout the 5 years, if you go on saying this throughout the 5 years, that becomes the narrative of the nation. That is a problem.
Most people may not know this, and I want to just say that. Most people may not know this, that one nation, one poll is a thing on the table right now. But it was actually Sadhguru who was one of the earliest people to talk about it. He was one of the few people, I think back in 2008, if I'm not mistaken,
I think.
when he had said, why this constant 24/7, 365 a year proximity to the next election. Every time an election gets over, we're very close to the next election. So do you believe Ram Rajya will be one nation, one poll?
I think one important step towards Ram Rajya is one nation, one poll. Because, see, right now the argument is, because you're going to win this time, you're doing this. Because people are saying that to BJP because it looks like they are going to win. But this is the important thing, an election is never won till it is won. Anybody who assumes that will make a fool of themselves. No election or no war is ever won till it is won. So why somebody is thinking you're going to win and you will be at an advantage? No, the problem is this, we have built political parties who need employment on a daily basis. This is not necessary in any democracy. During the election, political workers and supporters come together and campaign for election. Throughout the 5 years, they're campaigning and they're asking for remuneration for that. This is not the way to run a nation. Definitely, once in 5 years is all we can afford. If you ask me, till we get to $10, $12 trillion economy, we should have election once in 8 years. I know people will want to kill me for this, but we should have election once in 8 years till we get to at least $12 trillion economy, because you are enjoying the rubbish that you're talking. You must go down to the villages and remote parts of the country and see people are living like cattle. Till you change that, you have no business to be talking about nuances of democracy.
So not 5 years, 8 years.
No, that won't happen. I'm just saying you need that much break to make significant progress. See, if any policy is brought in, any changes are made, for it to go down to the last man in the rural space, it will take 6 to 8 years to get there. If you don't give it that much time, before that policy happens, another election, some change will happen, another person will come and reverse the whole thing. This is not the way to run the nation if you're interested in the people. If you're only interested in your politics, that's a different matter. Politics are for people. People are not scapegoats for politics. Let's understand this.
Sadhguru, there is a great deal of visible religiosity in politics. Apologies for dwelling on politics, but I am a journalist, so I just want to explore some of those themes. Is there a lack of spirituality in politics as opposed to spectacle and visible religiosity? And this comes at a time when, religion and the state is a central issue of debate and discussion.
What would you call a spectacle?
Something that's visible, something that catches your attention.
Like a Ram temple.
Yes.
So you must understand, this is the nature of this civilization, that every small thing, every aspect of our life, we make it celebratory. This is the nature of this civilization. If you take that away, we are not Bharatiyas at all. Because in this life, if a child is born, we will celebrate. We poke their ears, we celebrate. The child eats solid food, we celebrate. Child goes to school, we celebrate. Because this is the nature of our existence. Because without celebration, no matter what you have, you will become depressed over a period of time. Celebration does not mean eating and drinking as people understand in Delhi. Celebration means joy. Celebration means exuberance of life. So to bring that exuberance of life, many things are done. So our temples have always been celebration. Every day there is some kind of celebration. Every day is a special day. Today is Ekadashi, tomorrow is Dwadashi, next day is something. Every day is a reason to celebrate because we understand human inner space so well. We know if you're not in a mode of celebration, you will naturally move towards depression. The world is going there. Watch my words. The world is going there.
Sadhguru, you're always very visible. You're always in the news.
I'm sorry.
The things you say almost always go viral. Recently, and and especially a young generation, you were in the headlines when you attended the pre-wedding celebrations of Anant Ambani in Jamnagar. Many of those videos have also gone viral. I just want to remind this audience about what they saw, because everyone saw this on their phones. Can we just play that video very quickly?
What is that?
So this was that video in Jamnagar. That's Diljit Dosanjh, the famous singer, meeting very respectfully with Sadhguru. So my question to you, sir, is stars and tycoons and all those people over there. And my question is a very simple one. Did you feel out of place, or do you feel out of place in places like this? I'm asking. Not a loaded question.
I'm in place anywhere on this planet. I don't know how I will be on the moon, but on this planet I'm always in place. The problem is, the cameras are on only when you are among certain people. I teach in the prisons in many parts of the world. You don't bring the cameras there.
We've seen those videos.
Yes. I work with the tribals and in the villages. No cameras come there. 70% of our work is in rural India, cameras don't get on there. Only when you're in big cities and in events, cameras are on, plenty of cameras, so why would I be out of place in any way? They're just human beings. For me, there are no tycoons, there are no criminals, there are no tyrants. For me, there are human beings, and every human being has a space for transformation. A criminal can be transformed, a tyrant can be transformed, a tycoon can be transformed, so I am always on, it doesn't matter who he is.
So, I'd like to, ask a personal question. I actually wanted to end with this question, but since you've talked about transformation, I'd like to ask you this question. You probably couldn't meet a more unspiritual person than me. I'm a non-believer,
Really?
I'm not spiritual. And we've actually had this conversation before, but, in terms of feeling intensely or faith.
No, let me clear this.
What would you say to someone like me, sir, since you're saying that everybody, in that sphere?
See, everybody wants to be the best. I am the most unspiritual. Why are you the most unspiritual? I'm here. Because your idea of somebody says, I'm the greatest devotee. Somebody says, I'm the worst atheist. It doesn't matter. Everywhere you want to be number one. Don't be that. Nobody is number one, all right? It's a cyclical world. We all come and go. Nobody was born first. Are you Mr. Adam? You're not, right? So, nobody is number one. About your idea of being spiritual, your idea of being spiritual is somebody who is looking up and chanting a mantra or sitting in a temple or a church or a mosque. No, they are people who are looking for some kind of solace in an established form. But spirituality essentially means that you are a seeker. See, you must understand the fundamental distinction. When you say, I'm religious, you refer to yourself as a believer. That means you believe something. When you say, I'm spiritual, you refer to yourself as a seeker. When does somebody become a seeker? You can become a genuine seeker only if you realize, I do not know. If you see, I do not know, you don't have to label yourself, I am a seeker. The nature of human intelligence is such, if you realize, I do not know, it starts looking, it starts seeking. So seeking is not a concocted version of life. It is the nature. If you don't mess with life, if you don't mess with your children, they are all natural seekers. If you don't tell them stories for which you have no basis, they are all natural seekers. But why do you become a believer? You cannot handle the uncertainty of seeking, so you become a believer. What will you believe? What somebody said. Someone means who? Somebody that you hold as high, or somewhere it is written in a book which you hold as sacred. So essentially you make an authority into truth in your life. It will give you solace, but it will not give you a solution. A seeker means he is not looking for solace, he is looking for solution, where truth is the only authority. Authority is not the truth. So, when you say, I am the least spiritual person, no. If you have 1,000 questions or 1,000,000 questions, that means you're a seeker. So spirituality means it's a seeking, not a conclusion.
What would you say, if someone came to you, Sadhguru, and said, I'm skeptical of spiritualists and yogis and mystics and things like that, what would you say if they were asking you to convince them to believe?
I tell them even
in
I
your
am.
word?
Even I am very skeptical of all of them, including myself. So, you must understand there is a difference between doubt and suspicion. Doubt is very healthy. You doubt, because of that questions arise. Question cannot be wrong. See, questions cannot be wrong. Only the answer can be wrong, so you don't have any problem, that's all I'm saying as a journalist. Because you're always asking questions, and questions cannot be wrong. So if somebody thinks a question is wrong, that's because they don't have an answer. So the way we have handled questions in this world till now is, if somebody asks a question and you don't know the answer, kill the questioner. That is handled, well handled. In that generation, nobody ever dares to ask that question once again. You kill one man here in this hall for asking a certain question, you think anybody else will ask that question again? It's settled. So we've been dealing with things like this. That time is over. This is the age of spiritual process, because questions will come. Everybody will ask questions. You cannot stop them from asking questions. At a time like this civilization that you call as Bharat becomes most significant in the world, because this is a place, even when so-called divine entities came, we only asked them questions. They could not give us any commandments. Shiva came, if he opened his mouth, his wife, she asked him 1,000 questions, she freaks him with questions. Arjuna, Krishna tries to open his mouth after 36 years of association to the person who is close to him. He tries to open his mouth, that too in an extreme situation like a battle. That guy asked hundreds of questions. You know, we were trekking in Tibet, and there were nearly about 30+ nationalities with me. And one Indian person from America started asking a question. Indians have 10,000 years of question-asking practice. So he's asking question inside a question inside a question. The question went on for about 8 minutes, and all the other people, their eyeballs were rolling because they're not able to figure out what is the question. Then I said, you stop it, you know, this is an Indian question, you guys won't understand this. Because Indians have been practicing asking questions like this endlessly. You go into any Indian scripture, question inside a question, trick questions and trick questions. Then one Chinese lady raises her hand and says, Sadhguru, I worked in the United Nations for 27 years. Even there, only Indians ask questions. This is a fact, because this is a culture where we encourage questioning, because this is a land of seeking. This is not a land of believing. We don't have any belief system. We seek. Mukti is the goal.
No, this is true. Indians do ask a lot of questions everywhere. Sadhguru, since you do believe in very simple questions, you know, if someone were to ask you, what should I do in my good times? What should I do in my bad times? What would you say to them?
If you think there is a good time and a bad time, you got it all wrong. You're alive, it's a good time. When you're dead, it's a bad time for you. You're alive and you think it's a bad time, you're missing the whole point. Because you must understand… How old are you, Shiv, can I ask?
Yes, I'm 43.
43. 44 years ago, where were you? 45 years ago, where were you? You did not exist. Yes?
Yeah, terrible time.
I'll bless you with another 110 years, that means 60 years later, you will be again dead, all right? You won't exist. Your existence is just a brief time here. In this, you're dividing what is good time and bad time. All of us will be dead for a very, very long time, and we are alive for a very brief time. In this, don't create good time and bad time. Living time is the best time.
No, you know, a visual of Sadhguru comes to mind every time he talks about good times, and I'm going to play that out once again while I ask my next question. These are, you know, very popular videos of you, Sadhguru.
You come prepared.
No preparation. We are journalists, sir, we don't prepare. And so these are images of Sadhguru, you know, dancing, you know, and the jumping during those celebrations. And people love this, you know, this is… There's a lovely theme of abandon and just letting yourself go in these images. So I wanted to ask you, Sadhguru, about feeling intensely. You know, we live in a time when, you know, our emotions are constantly under demand. Feel intensely this way or the other way. Is that the way to live, to feel intensely? Or does one need to embrace a more kind of medium path?
So once again, you must make up your mind, you want to be alive or dead. Okay? Have you been to any funeral?
Yes.
Not yours, I'm saying somebody else's. You've been. That man will be in that perfect posture, like this he is. Till yesterday he was hopping around for so many things. You go and tell him you won the election, he won't respond. He's not interested. You tell him you won a lottery, 100 crores, he won't respond. He's not interested. You tell him whatever, he won't respond. What happened to him? Only thing that he lost his life. But suddenly he's not interested in anything. You must understand, that's the only damn thing you have, life. Everything else is your imagination in your head. So good time, bad time, richness, wealth, money, this, that, if I just take out your memory, I don't have to steal your account. If I take out your memory, you lost all your money, right? Hello? I'm asking you. I don't have to come and steal your wealth. If I just take out your memory, your wealth is gone. Your wife is gone, your husband is gone, your child is gone, yes or no? So the only thing you genuinely have is life. But that is one thing most people do not experience because they are misunderstanding their psychological process as existential. Your thought and emotion is a psychological drama that you are creating and you believe it is true. See, it is like you build a castle in the air and after some time you start believing it's true. Then we say you're neurotic. After some time, you start living in that castle. Then we say you're psychotic. Then the third person comes and collects rent for that castle. We call him a psychiatrist.
Amazing metaphor, Sadhguru. I'm picturing it in my mind right now.
So do not ever think your psychological reality is reality. Psychological reality is made by you. I'm asking all of you, right now can you think of a tiger? Hello? Like the Prime Minister was asking me to close your eyes, I won't do that. But if you close your eyes, can you think of a tiger? Mountain? Ocean? River? Flower? So you can create any reality you want in your mind. But now you've gotten into compulsive cycles that you think is real. No, it's your drama. If your drama is not directed by you, you're a disastrous drama.
Speaking of drama, Sadhguru, and that brings me to a question I wanted to ask as well, which is that in this age, I know you insist that this is not Kalyug, but in this age when…
No, that is according to the cycle of earth, not me.
Okay.
What is Kalyug and Treta Yuga is not a question of opinion.
Okay.
It's a time.
The search for meaning, has increased in a time of, post-pandemic, suffering, people, feeling lonely, feelings of isolation, etc., has led to a profusion in some ways of, of quacks online, people who distribute kind of pop spirituality. In this age, and you are so popular and people follow your words so closely, how do people differentiate from, a real spiritualist, perhaps, for want of a better phrase, and someone who's fake? We see people getting exposed all the time. Jay Shetty, who is, globally, praised, etc. He's been, written about recently as having faked his past, etc. How do people differentiate, sir?
See, you don't bother whether somebody is real or fake. If it works for you, just do it. If it doesn't work for you, just ditch it. Why are you wasting your life trying to make a judgment whether somebody is real or fake? That's not your business. Your business is whether it works for you or not.
Your following speaks for itself, so there's no question about that. But, you've been criticized in the past. I'm sure there are people pursuing you all the time.
Nobody has criticized me. Endless abuse.
Abuse? So that is one thing that's, that I want to talk about. How do you handle the abuse? Because
I don't handle the abuse.
I imagine.
Because the abuse is in their head, why should I handle it? I don't handle the abuse. See, they're constantly writing fiction about me. I leave it to them if they're enjoying it. Well, if it impedes my work, then I deal with it. Otherwise, whatever anybody is saying, I don't respond to it because it's in their head. What can I do? See, right now, for example, I'm sure this is all over, so I will say this. We are about 130 kilometers away from an elephant corridor. But there is a whole bunch of people who keep on saying we are on the elephant corridor. 130 kilometers as per all records. Government of India, Government of Tamil Nadu, the World Wildlife Fund, everything says this. But some people will keep on saying, because on the social media, there is no perjury law. If you tell a lie, you don't go to prison in this country. By telling a lie, you can win an election. You can become a chief minister or some other minister by telling lies. So there is no perjury, if you get into any defamation laws, it is you who suffers, not them. Because you get trapped in the court and its processes. Unless it is done like that, if somebody publicly tells a lie, quickly it can be proved. If it is proved a lie, they must pay for it. There is no such law. It's very difficult to do it because when 500 million people lie, how do you create prisons for them? There is no possibility. So, it's all right. After some time, people learn to filter what is a lie, what is the truth. People understand. 5–10% of the people will believe the nonsense. It's okay. What to do?
Do you separate, Sadhguru, the abuse from criticism?
There has never been any criticism.
Seriously?
See, there's never been any criticism, only abuse.
Because I'll tell you, apart from Save the Soil…
See, criticism means you must take something that I've done and you must point out what is the wrong thing I did there. If you simply spew venom, that's abuse.
There are many amazing things that Sadhguru and his foundation are doing. I heard from your team that there's a Miracle of Mind program that's going to be rolling out later this year. That is to do with mental health. The reason I wanted to explore the theme of abuse is, if someone came and said something constructive to you, Sadhguru, they said, who is Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev to talk about Ram Rajya? How would you engage with that?
See, I'm made like this. I listen not only to people of position, anybody, a man, woman, child, a dog, donkey, tree, I'm always listening. I am who I am, not because of anything, because I listen. I listen not just to the words, I listen to all the things that are not spoken. That's why I am who I am. I'm not spending my time reading. I'm not spending my time getting PhDs somewhere. I'm just listening to everything, to every life. It's because of that I am who I am. So, criticism, I don't see any issue with that. I don't see words as criticism. Somebody is pointing out a certain fact. If it needs to be corrected, it's corrected without even a thought about it. I don't even see it as a criticism. First of all, I don't see what is praise, what is criticism. I just listen to where they're coming from, and that's about it for me. Because my life is not enhanced because somebody praises me. My life doesn't diminish because somebody abuses me. I'm not made like that. If I close my eyes, my life is done.
Well, we've certainly listened to every word you've said today, Sadhguru, and you've given us a great deal to think about. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev.